Homemade rose water recipe. Rose water is not only amazingly aromatic but also exceptionally versatile. It can be used in wide-ranging dye beauty products including facial toner, hairspray, cooling mist, and linen freshener. As the rose petals are edible, so rose water has a place in the culinary world as well. As we cannot be sure how good the rose water bought off the shelves really is, here's an easy homemade rose water recipe, explained step by step. All you need is just rose petals and distilled water to make your own pure rose water. Did you know that it's just as easy to make pure rose water at home at an extremely low cost with its 100% purity intact? Read below to understand how to prepare pure rose water at home. How to make rose water at home. There are two easy methods of preparing pure rose water at home. The one is to dip fresh rose petals in a jar filled with distilled water, available easily at chemist shops, and place them in the sun for some days. The other easiest and quickest method is by heating rose petals in distilled water in a clean covered utensil. Let it simmer until half the water is left, and then let it cool. Discard the petals and your scented, rose-colored pure rose water is ready for use. I use the second method, which results in a colored rose water. I've been pleased with the outcome of this method, so I continue to use this method. A third method, the distilling one, is quite time-consuming and somewhat difficult. So we are not discussing that method here. You will need rose petals, preferably fresh from an organic, pesticide-free source, or dried rose petals. Use 1/2 to 3/4 cup if you are using fresh petals. If using dried rose petals, then about 1/4 cup. Water. Saucepan with lid. Nut bag or several thicknesses of cheesecloth. Dark bottle for storage. Spray nozzle optional. Method. Choosing rose petals. There are over 100 different varieties of roses. The petals preferably should be freshly picked. You can buy roses, but make sure they are from an organic source. It is necessary to use pesticide-free rose petals so your rose water is free of chemicals. That is why it makes sense to use roses that you have grown yourself. If you will be picking your own roses, do so early morning, about 1 to 2 hours after sunrise, when the morning dew has evaporated and the blossoms are the most fragrant. Use only petals, not the stem and leaves. Wash them thoroughly to remove germs and dirt particles. Place the rose petals in a saucepan or a large pot of distilled water. Pour 1½ cup water into your saucepan. The water should be just enough to cover the petals. Too much water will make a very diluted rose water. Cover with a lid and let the mixture simmer on a very low temperature so that it remains steaming hot and not boiling hot. Allow the water to simmer until the color of the rose petals has faded and they have become almost colorless. You will see the water has taken on the color of the rose petals and rose oil floating on the surface. Leave the lid on and let the mixture cool completely. Pour the water and petal solution through the nut bag or cheesecloth into a dark, clean bottle. For convenience, you can use a funnel or strain into a measuring bowl with a pour spout and then pour into your dark bottle. Store the rose water in a refrigerator for several weeks. It will last longer this way.